All right. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you're all having a great time. What a wonderful event, right? Really, lots of nice talk. So, I'm Eric. I work in the enterprise data platform team in Bell. I've been there for the past 17 years. Started there as an intern and then data engineer with the Microsoft SQL Server stack. Before data was considered pretty nice, right? And then grew as a data engineer with Hadoop, and then here I am as an architect, right? Um, so quickly, but what is Bell, right? It's the largest telecom provider in Canada, bigger than the other competitor right before, and we essentially we've been providing services to like Quebec, Ontario, Atlantic provinces, Manitoba. So yeah, so essentially today I'm gonna just ask a quick question just to break the ice, right? I see a few younger folks here. So I want to ask, is anybody here plays online video games, like competitive video games specifically, like um, League of Legends, Fortnite, Counter-Strike? Anybody? Nobody? Okay, wow. We don't have lots of competitive players here. Okay, okay. So I do. I'll admit it. I do. And I'm a huge fan of Rocket League, personally. And the reason, one of the things that I've started when I played this game 5 years ago is I would often like come in, play my games, and then a bad goal happen, I lose the game, and then what do? Just blame the teammate, right? Who else could it be? So, but it turns out that when you play quite a bit of competitive game, one of the things you learn to do is watch your own replays, right? It's the only way where you're going to be able to figure out your mistake and then not reproduce them, obviously. So that's what I did a bit, right? And the reason I'm talking a bit about this is we've had the opportunity for the past 1 year to migrate to Google Cloud and then sort of look at what we did wrong on premise. Like, what are the big mistakes we did on premise and what we should change so that it doesn't happen again when we're going to the cloud, right? So I decided for today's talk to just put a short list of 3 mistakes we did. And then I'm here to share this with you. And then I'm going to share our experience. And then hopefully you'll learn something from this. So the first one, and I think it's a pretty common mistake in the telecom industry, is we've essentially deployed dozens of data environments, data silos through the years. And this just grew over time more and more, right? So that's number one. Number two is we didn't really take time to improve our developers' productivity and experience, right? It was a second thought for us. And then last one, but not the least, it's our data governance practices, right? And tooling that were pretty bad, let's say. So I'm going to go through like all these three mistakes we did, explain where we went wrong, and what we're going to change by going to the cloud. So first one, right, I mentioned our dozens of data warehouse, data environments. So for this one, we started like, obviously we have lots of legacy systems in Bell, right? And when we implemented Hadoop back in 2016, the premise was, well, let's build a data lake, let's migrate our ETL through there, and then we'll just have a single place to consume our data, right? Not exactly what happened, okay? So what we did is we actually implemented Hadoop, we migrated a lot of ETL, we migrated a lot of data set, and then we just stopped midway. We just stop and then move on to something else, right? Just focus on value creation. So, yeah, obviously, what happened is all these data engineers, data specialists were just focusing, they were in their own tech stack, right? So imagine you have an engineer who works in the Microsoft SQL environment, and he plays nice there. And whenever he needs data, he's just going to develop an ETL pipeline to move it to his own data world. So what happened is a huge spaghetti, a mess of data pipeline all over the place. And it's really long for us, right? Like whenever you want to create value, you want to do AI ML, you want to do, we're doing lots of data monetization in Bell. And obviously this is hard for us because our engineers are just focusing time on not solving these problems. They're focusing on moving the data around. So what we've decided to change on the cloud is we decided to end it there and then just standardize on a single data platform. So instead of having, okay, well, we have Oracle, we're going to move Oracle to Google Cloud. We have SQL Server, we're going to move that to Google Cloud. Let's take the time to modernize these legacy environments, move them to Google BigQuery, and then once engineers have their data all in one place, it's very simple, right? If somebody needs access to the data, a simple IAM permission and you're done. Nothing else, right? No need to develop pipelines to move data around. So yeah, we're really eager to have more and more data there so that we can stop just engineering pipelines over and over again. Okay, so second one, right? Second mistake we did is, and I think that's a really important one, right? Your developers' productivity. So your developers, your engineers are so important. You need to improve their experience. So what we did on premise is we have Hadoop, we just manage infrastructure, we manage server, we manage hardware, and then that's all we do, right? And we did a little bit of shell scripting here and there to create database, to create like help us with permissions, but nothing else really. So for us, it was really not a good experience for developers. And what we've realized is when we did an assessment recently for migrating our Hadoop, we've realized we look at different Git repositories, look at the source code, and realize, wow, our engineers are just solving the same problem over and over again, right? Just as an example, we had, if you've ever worked with Hadoop, you might have heard of data compaction to compact small files right into larger files. We essentially had 6 separate libraries just to do the same thing, right? All these teams, they build the same library without speaking with each others. And here we are, right? A huge mess of lots of code. So we're essentially going to use that opportunity to modernize. So how are we going to solve it? Few things, right? First thing we did when we migrated is let's right away build a solid foundation. And that starts with, for example, building Terraform module to standardize on anything that's like naming conventions, standards, best practices, labeling. So all of that, right, we would bake it right in so that people don't repeat that code over and over again. Second thing is, I highly encourage you to look at it. We recently did a proof of concept with a tool called Backstage. So I'm not sure if anybody knows what Backstage is. If you don't know, there's an interesting talk tomorrow from, I think it's HCA Healthcare. So they have an interesting talk about how they use this tool to help developers. It's actually an open source developer portal that was created by Spotify, and then they open source it, and then you can sort of have it a bunch of templates, and then you can templatize your applications, and then engineers, they go in the UI, they simply fill a form, and then there we are, they can spin up applications very fast, right? So after this proof of concept, we've been very excited with that. And I think we're about to roll it out to more and more type of templates, right? So yeah, so essentially, the other thing was that we're going to do to help our developers is we've realized when we did our Hadoop migration that there's, I think there was hundreds of data pipeline, almost 1,000 pipelines that were just strictly for ingesting relational database data, MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, DB2, right? And all of our engineers, they would just copy paste code over and over again. So what are we doing for that? Well, we're going to make config-driven libraries to do that, right? To help engineers be more productive and avoid having to write custom code all the time. So with all of these, right, it should make our engineer way more productive on the cloud and stop just writing code, focus on other things. Okay, so last thing, but not least, is the last mistake I want to mention is our data governance practice. Okay, so I'm sure lots of us are in the same boat. So I'll admit it, we do manage table metadata in Excel spreadsheets and Confluence. Okay, I'll say it. And I'm sure lots of you maybe have the same situation. So the first thing we did by going to cloud is go standardize with Dataplex, right? Make sure our engineers are just cataloging their assets, their tables, their PII, HSPII, everything is in there, right? So we can stop having people asking questions on Slack, email, where is this table, where is it, does it exist? Well, you will have it somewhere, right? It will be cataloged in there, right? So so essentially that was what I wanted to discuss today, right? So 3 mistakes that we did that hopefully you're not gonna make, right? Hopefully this talk will resonate with a few of you. And I want to really encourage you to reach out to me, talk to me. Like if you've ever done like a large-scale migration, we're about to do a large-scale migration of our Hadoop. We've migrated just a few use cases so far, but we're about to do like a huge migration next month. I really would like, if you have any experience with that, reach out to me, right? Share your learnings. I would love to hear about it, right? And then, yeah, so thank you for assisting for this talk. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away.